Just as a courier transports needed products, the Courier Program, by Waves for Water, transports needed solutions. Empowering the masses to help solve the world water crisis, the Courier Program provides a platform to crowdfund for filters. Couriers are invited to plug in purpose on their travels, bringing water filters to where they're needed.
The Courier Program is making everyday travelers and adventurers into everyday humanitarians with a crowdfunding platform to create clean water solutions. Jon, where did you come up with this idea to solve such a large world problem with such small individual campaigns?
Yeah, well, I guess it starts with me. So I came up with the Courier Program really based off my own life. And, I guess I'm patient zero. When I started Waves for Water, it was sort of on the back of the idea that I was already going and traversing through the world, and how could I plug purpose into that? And so it manifested into Waves for Water. But the Courier Program really is just like an extension of that idea. It's our version of a volunteer program. So it's not the same as like signing up and filling out a bunch of applications and coming with us and wearing matching t-shirts and having lanyards and stuff like that. That's not this program. That is one way to do it. Not take it or leave it. It doesn't matter to me. They're all great. They're all ways for people to get engaged out there in the world. But for us, it was framing it a little bit more authentically to who we are, and really celebrating the people that already made this dynamic choice to go out there and put themselves out of their comfort zone and tackle the world. So we just felt like, God, there's already this network of adventurous travelers that are going out there. What if we just piggyback them? And that was really the inception of it, was just to say, okay, look, you're already going. What if we add this layer? What if we add this component to your trip, where you don't have to even stray from your initial reason or purpose for going, but you can add this layer of purpose into it and enhance the whole experience, make an impact along the way, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's so smart. Here's the thing though, it's like people often believe that huge issues absolutely require huge solutions. But just as big oceans are made of small drops of water, big problems can be addressed with small actions. So can you share an example of this, Jon? I would love if there was a story of a courier in your program that you can share where a small action made a big difference.
Yeah, I guess there's a couple stories that come to mind. I think one interesting one was this woman who was she was a flight attendant for actually a private charter, like sort of more luxury airline. Mm-hmm. And she felt like, God, our routes are always going and stopping for whatever reason. I think they were based in Europe, but their routes were always stopping in these places that had needs. And she was on like a pretty consistent schedule with that, and then found out about our program. And she basically said it changed her whole relationship with her work, because look, that's her job. She also had like access to people that would probably support her. Like, not that she's going, no courier the program itself isn't meant for any one courier to go that big anyways. It doesn't need to be that way. It's sort of like within your means, we're saying, look, there's no reason not to, because you don't have to provide 1,000 filtration systems for somebody. You can provide one for one family, and that's totally worth it. And it's cost effective and all those things. So, but the nature of her business and just the people she was around, she was like, oh, I could probably rally. And I think she raised like, a couple grand or something immediately with the idea.
Nice.
took a number of filter systems with her on her next trip. And she said that she'd been going to these places for a long time, for, you know, many years now with this job. And she had only got to a certain level of interaction on the ground in these places. And it was limited mostly, not, I mean, she would have liked more, but it's just limited to, I guess, certain pleasantries and just like, hey, this is a great place and whatever, but I'm just passing through. And there's no real reason for people on the ground there to open up to somebody like that, at least really open up. And she said as soon as she did this program, she went and she like made contact with, you know, a friend on the ground. I think it was in, I want to say it was in Accra in Ghana. Mm-hmm. And basically said, hey, I'm participating in this program. I you know, I've done some research. I know you guys have a lot of needs here. I can't help you with all of them, but I can definitely help you with this one. And then she was invited like into their home and then into their relatives' homes and for dinner and all this stuff, like this very intimate experience that, to no one's fault, just wouldn't have happened otherwise. You know, it's just this was a real reason to engage in that local community and in that culture deeper. I mean, it's a real, there's a need, you're helping to fulfill that need. And as a result, there's this interaction that happens, this deeper, it's almost like the veil gets pulled back and the curtain gets pulled and you get like an introduction and a view into the culture in a deeper way. But not, you know, they're doing it very genuinely. It's like, oh yeah, well, thank you so much for thinking of us and even going this far. And in return, we'd like to have dinner with you and we'd like to share a little bit more about our culture and just like the some of the deeper meanings. And that, I just remember her reaction when she came back. She's like, I wish everybody could have that experience. And that's not possible unless you go through this type of a process, not just our program, but you have some real reason to connect on a deeper level. And it was just, she said it was just life-changing, you know, it was like a whole new perspective on not only the place, but the world.
Wow. That's an incredible story. And just the fact that she'd been to these places a number of occasions, but this time was so different.
She had a tool, like she had this real tool to be able to engage on a much deeper level. And it was so genuine and so authentic, you know, on both sides. So there's no pretenses, there's no ulterior motives here. There's just like a need. It's really straightforward. You know, there's a need and there's a solution, and they don't know each other. So she is connecting those two. And then as a result, all of this deeper experience happens.
Mm-hmm. That is incredible. You know, so all good and great deeds are accomplished one step at a time. We know this. Love for you to walk me through the steps of your program that allow people to do what they love while they're doing good along the way. Where do people start and where do they go?
Yeah, so it's really straightforward, right? Let's say, I'll just use an example of a student who is taking a trip after their graduation of college or something like that. You know, that happens a lot. There's like a year off or something, or 6 months before they go jump into real adulting, adulthood. And they're, or somebody on their honeymoon, or somebody like that woman who was on a work trip. So there's people that know they're already going somewhere. They would go to wavesforwater.org. They would click on the Courier Program, become a courier, and they set up their fundraising page. It's a crowdfunding page. They say, you know, Timmy's trip to Costa Rica, post-graduation trip to Costa Rica or Nicaragua or whatever, you know, and so they title it, put a couple photos of trips past or whatever they want, and then write a little overview of their intention, which is really what they're doing, right? They're going on this trip. While they're there, they'd like to make a positive impact, and they're doing that through the Courier program, and their fundraising, their filter goal is 5 filters. So then they would share that, they have that, it's a fundraising page, so they share that link with their network to raise the funds, to crowdfund for those filters. Once they reach their goal, or even if they don't, so let's say their goal was 5 filters, but they only raise enough for 1, fine. We will then get them the filter kit with all the necessary information, details, all kind of stuff, as well as follow up from us to really onboard them to different scenarios that they're going to encounter, and all these pieces of that implementation process. We call it DIY humanitarianism or guerrilla humanitarianism for a reason. It's very much your own experience to craft. It is, and it's intended to be. So it's not for everybody. It definitely, some people want a little bit more hand-holding, and there's zero judgment for that. That's just not this program. It's really meant to take you outside of your comfort zone a little bit, really as far as you want to take that. But I mean, you can do it in a way where you're still, I would say almost 100% that people can still stay within the cones of their comfort zone. But you can also really be bold with it too, and just go further and explore more. But in any case, like, we're going to arm you with A, the technology, B, all of the the knowledge and information to be able to implement that technology along your travels. And here's the different scenarios you're going to encounter, as well as us being sort of an ongoing virtual resource for them. So like, if they're in the field, we've had plenty of couriers in the field reach out to us and go, I'm scared, or I don't know what to do. All right. And we sort of talk them through it. So we're not going to be there in person. We're going to hopefully do our job, but we've hopefully done our job and given them everything they need so that they feel totally confident when they get there. But if they haven't, they can reach out to us and we can kind of walk them through it. So yeah, it's a very much I say with the Courier program, you can do no wrong with it, but you can do varying levels of right.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's fantastic.
No one's going to hurt anybody. Like there's no wrong that can be done. Like, you're already winning by doing it. But, if the varying levels of right just comes to how you implement that solution. So is it choosing the right recipients? Is it, being very thorough with your trainings? Is it communicating the right information so that they can maintain and maximize the potential of that filter system? Those are all boxes that should be checked. But if you didn't check any of those boxes, you're still not hurting anybody. It's still going to help in some way. Right.
That's awesome that you do have it such a free form, program that people can really, like you say, make it their own. And so they're as comfortable or uncomfortable as they want to be, but it's theirs.
And it's supposed to be that way. It really is designed to be that way. I mean, I really like to see people, and to be honest, we've taken a lot of the feedback from couriers and roped that into our programming because they've had experience that's like something we just haven't encountered for some reason. And they're like, oh, this is what I did. And we're like, that's great. So
wow, really that's awesome to share those learnings. Like, so you have that feedback loop, right? So you're like constantly like, oh, well, this is what they learned. Here you go.
It's like having a new product and you have like a bunch of different people wear test it. It's kind of like that, and you get the feedback and then you make a better product.
Right. So again, this is going to segue into my next question. With your Courier program, you don't only just provide product, you also give guidance. So I'm wondering, for those who are considering to become a courier, if they have no idea where to start, like they're not going anywhere, right? They have no place to go, but they'd like to go somewhere, but they don't know where to go or what to do. So I was reading on your site, you've got this advanced training guide. Does that provide some ideas, some thoughts as well?
No, that's specifically around the training of the technology and setting people up to maximize the potential of what the filter can do. Because the filter at its maximum capacity or potential can provide 1 million gallons of clean water. But that's if people are doing all of the things and maintaining it, they're making sure that it's going to reach that potential because they're really taking good care of it and doing the right things. And the right things are just essentially the key cleaning, practices and that kind of stuff, and just making sure they're taking care of it, which is all conveyed in your initial training. And then of course there's leave behind resources and stuff like that as well, that they can refer to. So the advanced training guide goes through that like in high detail. If somebody is wondering where to go, it's as simple as jumping on your computer and doing some research. Like World Health Organization is a good outlet to just see like where the biggest water issues are. They can also just email us and say, hey, I want to be a courier, and what do you guys think? And we can say, hey, in some cases, if it's a place like the Philippines or a place like Nepal or India or Mexico or places that we have like permanent offices, we can also connect couriers with our local office, and they can get a lot of guidance that way. We've done that plenty of times. If it's Bangladesh where we don't have like a permanent presence, but somebody's really feels connected to that, then it would just be a more standard courier style program. But it's pretty easy to figure out like where the biggest needs are. And I would just suggest going, matching the need with your own desires.
Right.
Finding the intersect there and choosing that way.
Right. No, that's a very good point.
Like, I've always wanted to go to Bolivia. I've always wanted to go there. And then you check online and like, oh, there's a need in Bolivia. Perfect.
Winning.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So when people hear the word humanitarian, they often think of Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa. But the truth is, for example, Nick Nelson, who I grew up with, Teresa Dietz, who I went to school with, they could be humanitarians. Everyday people can be humanitarians. It's not a profession, it's more of a purpose that anyone, anywhere can serve. So with the service provided by your couriers since the beginning of this program, I would love to hear, what is it that these everyday humanitarians have accomplished so far?
Huge impact is these everyday couriers have amounted to thousands of water filtration systems deployed all around the world in over 60 plus countries. And you're right. Like, so more people are familiar with hearing like, I am a computer programmer. Like, when somebody writes their bio on Instagram or something, it's like computer programmer, bird watcher, environmentalist, so like a lot of people throw around environmentalist pretty commonly, which is no different than being humanitarian. It's the environment or, human beings. And so, but same kind of thing. You're a humanitarian, more in the way that or an environmentalist more in the way that you participate in the world. And this program, the Courier Program, is really a platform to exercise that participation in a way that is going to yield tangible, measurable results. It's very clear cut, the impact. So I think, we've hundreds of thousands of people have gained access to clean water as a result of the Courier Program. So that's, and in a very, very decentralized way, right? Just like all of these people going out and doing the things that they love and just helping along the way.
It's just really incredible. It's really inspiring. I just want to thank you so much for yet again helping us become even more aware now. Thank you so much, Jon. Thank you for sharing this incredible program.